Ethiopian Orthodox Church, also known as Tewahedo, which has been practicing its faith for over 3,500 years. It's quite surprising that a relatively lesser-known country would play such a significant role in Christianity, isn't it? If this isn't impressive enough, this country is also known for preserving some of the world's oldest biblical manuscripts, which are even older than the widely recognized King James Bible. Not only is it the oldest, but it is also the most complete, as it comprises 88 books, including several texts that are absent from other Christian traditions. This collection features writings from both the Old and New Testaments, as well as unique documents not seen elsewhere. Yet this ancient Bible remains largely unrecognized and is not included in the standard canon of Holy Scriptures. As a matter of fact, many followers of the faith are unaware of its existence, highlighting its marginalization and the clear attempts to diminish its significance. This raises an important question. Why? Might these texts contain secrets that, if revealed, could profoundly challenge established church doctrines? Before we immerse ourselves with this provocative hypothesis, let's first uncover the rich history of this ancient manuscript and trace the expansive evolution of Christianity in the region. Our journey begins with the Queen of Sheba, the Ethiopian ruler from the 10th century BC, who traveled to Jerusalem to seek counsel from the famously wise King Solomon. The wise king lived up to his reputation, for he adeptly answered each question of the queen, leaving no doubt of his intellectual prowess and providing insights that surpassed her expectations. Seizing the opportunity to share the profound depths of his faith, he introduced the Queen of Sheba to the worship of Yahweh, captivating her spirit and guiding her towards becoming a devout follower. The queen's journey didn't conclude with her mere return to her homeland. She brought back more than just wisdom. She returned bearing a child named Menelik, a living testament to her encounter with the king. It was then that she laid the foundational stones for Christianity to take root and thrive within her kingdom. While it may sound like a mere myth, in 2012, genetic studies conducted on various Ethiopians provided evidence supporting the historical account of Sheba's journey to Jerusalem. These studies suggested that around 3,000 years ago, during Sheba's reign, there might have been intermingling between Ethiopian people and populations from Egypt, Israel, or Syria, thereby adding credibility to the story. Fast forward to the 4th century AD, Christianity spread swiftly across Ethiopia, largely because the ruling elite embraced the religion, and the region became a haven for Christian refugees. Among these were the Monophysites, who sought refuge after being condemned and expelled from Byzantium following the Council of Chalcedon in 451. Among these refugees were 9 key figures who translated sacred texts, constructed churches, established monasteries, and set the foundation for the monastic tradition in the Ethiopian Church. Traditionally, the Gospels of the Ethiopian Church are said to have been translated by Saint Abba Garima, an influential pioneer, giving rise to the name, the Garima Gospels. The way he finished these texts is also shrouded in mystery. It is believed that God miraculously halted the sunset, providing him additional time to complete his work in a single day. This remarkable relic has been preserved at the Garima Monastery near Adwa in the northern part of the country, located in the Tigray region at an elevation of 7,000 feet. However, some scholars had doubts about the origin of these manuscripts and suggested that the Gospels were actually written centuries after the influential figure's death, probably by priests in the 10th century. Recent radiocarbon dating conducted at Oxford University suggests the creation of the texts dates between 330 and 650 AD, intriguingly coinciding with the period when he is believed to have arrived in the country. Therefore, it's possible that the first volume was written by his hand, even if, contrary to oral tradition, he did not complete it in a single day. The manuscript was found accidentally by travelers in the 1950s who photographed it, enabling later detailed studies that affirmed its significant value. Over the years, the Ethiopian Church has cultivated a distinct Christian identity that integrates local customs and traditions. Today, this ancient Bible continues to be a vital part of the liturgical practices and the cultural and religious heritage of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. Unlike its famous counterparts such as the Hebrew Bible, the Vulgate, or the King James Bible, the Ethiopian Bible Bible is distinctive, with only one copy known to exist. The tale of its survival through numerous adversities adds a layer of mystique, particularly as other early Ethiopian manuscripts were lost during turbulent times. The region faced significant challenges, including a potential overrun by Muslim invaders in the 1530s and being a focal point of resistance against Italian forces in 1896. Additionally, the monastery's main church was destroyed by fire around 1930. The preservation of the manuscripts may owe much to their concealment, potentially hidden for centuries or even over a millennium. It's conceivable that their hiding place was forgotten and only rediscovered by chance in more recent times. The theory gained further credibility when, in 1520, Portuguese chaplain Francisco Alvarez visited the monastery and recorded the existence of a cave, now either lost or destroyed, believed to have been the dwelling place of Abba Garima. Alvarez observed that monks would descend into this cave via a ladder to perform penance. While still speculative, it's possible that the Gospels were hidden within this cave, safeguarding them during turbulent times. Let's now explore the contents of this intriguing manuscript. The Ethiopian Bible's Old Testament includes the Pentateuch, detailing the creation of the world and the history of the Israelites, along with their divine laws. It also encompasses historical writings, wisdom literature, and prophetic books filled with poetry and teachings on righteous living as per the prophet's words. A striking difference between this scripture and other Gospels is its vivid and elaborate illustrations. Numerous pages feature elaborate drawings of saints, apostles, a temple, and charts designed to aid readers in cross-referencing specific passages. Remarkably, the colors on these pages remain vibrant. Experts attribute this preservation to the Bible being kept in a monastery, where it was rarely exposed to sunlight. The New Testament contains the Gospels narrating Jesus' life, teachings, miracles, death, and resurrection, the Acts of the Apostles depicting the early Christian church's evolution, epistles offering teachings and guidance to early Christian communities, and the Revelation of John, which envisions the end times and God's final victory. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church regards Jesus as the incarnate Word of God, the second person of the Holy Trinity, and humanity's Savior, placing a strong emphasis on his divinity over his humanity. Now, let's get back to our main question on why this book has been omitted from the Holy Bible. One primary reason is that it includes books considered pseudepigrapha, texts allegedly authored by legendary figures but generally deemed non-canonical by most Christian traditions. These books were excluded because they were believed to lack divine inspiration and were thought to have been written with dubious intentions. The Catholic Church decided to exclude certain books from the Holy Scripture during early Christian leadership conventions at the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD and the First Council of Constantinople in 381 AD. The leaders aimed to compile a New Testament from texts believed to be authored by Jesus' followers or contemporaries, aligning with the pre-existing scriptural framework. During the reign of King James I, despite the long-standing predominance of the Vulgate, primarily translated by Jerome, the king tasked 47 scholars with reviewing all available translations. Their collective work culminated in the King James Version of the Bible, finalized in 1611, which sought to standardize religious texts and reinforce the authority of the monarchy. With the advancements in printing technology, the King James Bible quickly became one of the most widely accessible versions. This version, like St. Jerome's original Vulgate, excluded certain books that are retained in the Ethiopian Bible, which encompasses all original scriptures. The Ethiopian Bible, on the other hand, includes the first Book of Enoch, the Wisdom of Sirach, Jubilees, 3 books by Mabes, the Epistle to Clement, 4 books of Codex, and more. These texts were part of the ancient scriptures, as the Ethiopian Orthodox Church regarded them as important and rich in valuable information. For instance, the Book of Enoch is highly esteemed within the Ethiopian Bible and continues to be a significant work in the Ethiopian Church. It is an essential part of the scriptures that form the foundation of beliefs and practices in Ethiopian Christianity. This controversial book talks about defiant angels, huge mixed creatures, and people taken to a special place above earth, believed to be written by Enoch, Noah's great-grandfather. This book offers an interesting view into the religious practices of ancient times. It consists of various parts, each focusing on different themes and styles, centered around Enoch and his visions from heaven. It consists of 5 distinct books: the Book of Watchers, the Book of Parables, the Astronomical Book, the Book of Dream Visions, and the Apostles of Enoch, collectively spanning about 100 chapters. No other religious writings feature angels in a more significant or elaborately depicted manner than the Book of Enoch. The Book of the Watchers tells the story of the Watchers, fallen angels who marry human women, resulting in the Nephilim, giants who lead humans astray. This union causes a lot of problems, leading to divine punishment. The story of the Nephilim shows the severe consequences of this mix between heavenly beings and humans, setting up the story of the Great Flood. Enoch is presented as a righteous figure who receives divine messages and is granted access to heavenly realms. There he gains knowledge about the origins of the universe, the mechanics of stars and celestial entities, and the future fate of humanity. Furthermore, the book's visions of the apocalypse are laden with symbolism, providing a glimpse into how people of that era envisioned the future. Another reason for the marginalization of the Ethiopian Bible is its use of Ge'ez, a language not widely understood outside of specific communities, which has resulted in few translations. Moreover, distinctive practices found within the Ethiopian Bible have further limited its exposure beyond Ethiopia. The limited translations into other languages and the relatively isolated status of the Ethiopian Church compared to larger Christian denominations have constrained the distribution of this Bible. Ironically, this restricted access has contributed to preserving the text in its original form until today. A more contentious reason involves the politics and power struggles of early Christianity, when the Roman emperor placed political stability above spiritual development. Texts that did not conform to the established narrative were often excluded, and some were even ordered to be destroyed. Nevertheless, many of these texts were preserved and later found in the 1940s near the Dead Sea. This find sheds light on some of the differences between the Ethiopian Bible and other biblical texts. There are also claims suggesting that the banning of the Ethiopian Bible was part of broader efforts to suppress or undermine non-Western religious texts, particularly those associated with Ethiopianism. These attempts likely originated from various motives, including a desire to assert cultural or religious dominance and to manipulate indigenous belief systems. Furthermore, such actions were intended to disrupt the Ethiopian community's direct ties to biblical figures. But lately, the Ethiopian Bible has attracted significant attention from scholars and the intellectually curious, who are drawn to its unique attributes and the deep truths it conveys. The Ethiopian Church's initiatives to translate this ancient scripture into more languages and encourage scholarly examination have only heightened this allure. Time alone will reveal the profound ways in which this might transform our understanding of Christian history.
The entities termed as the Watchers in the Book of Enoch are actually associated with extraterrestrial beings rather than angels. This assertion might come across as astonishing, doesn't it? Nevertheless, as we delve more extensively into the provocative text and explore accounts from ancient advanced civilizations, our perspective could potentially shift. This controversial book, which was removed from the Bible, talks about defiant angels, huge mixed creatures, and people taken to a special place above Earth. Could it be that our important religious texts are actually telling us about aliens visiting Earth? And maybe Enoch's teachings were getting us ready for a time when we'll discover this important truth. Let us begin our story on a bright day in 1947. Mohammed Ed-Dib, a Bedouin shepherd, was in search of his missing goat near the northwest shore of the Dead Sea, specifically around Qumran. Unexpectedly, he chanced upon a cave that held substantial clay jars. To his amazement, these containers held parchment and papyrus scrolls, meticulously enveloped in linen. Unaware of the magnitude of the discovery, he and his companions collected the scrolls and subsequently sold them to an antiquities dealer in Bethlehem. As time passed, news of this finding gradually reached scholars who eventually recognized the profound significance of these scrolls. Consequently, they embarked on endeavors to obtain and comprehensively examine them. Archaeological excavations carried out in the Qumran vicinity brought to light a series of caves harboring additional scrolls and fragments. Ultimately, this culminated in the revelation of approximately 900 ancient manuscripts. These ancient documents eventually gained renown as the Dead Sea Scrolls. This compilation encompasses a variety of texts, ranging from biblical manuscripts to apocryphal works, along with documents tied to the beliefs and rituals of a probable Jewish sect believed to be the Essenes. Something truly fascinating emerged among these writings, a religious text that had been forgotten and hidden away in human memory. This extraordinary find, known as the Book of Enoch, gives us an enchanting view of how humans and the supernatural world are intertwined. Enoch, a puzzling figure from the Bible, emerges from ancient texts like a shadowy presence. So who exactly is Enoch, and what significance does he hold? Enoch is a biblical character introduced in the Hebrew Bible, specifically within the Book of Genesis. Although the Bible briefly mentions him, later writings like the Book of Enoch provide more detailed information about his story. The Book of Enoch consists of 5 distinct books: the Book of Watchers, the Book of Parables, the Astronomical Book, the Book of Dream Visions, and the Apostles of Enoch, collectively spanning about 100 chapters. During the initial centuries of the new calendar, the Book of Enoch was removed from both Jewish and Christian biblical compilations. Some speculated that this removal occurred due to its revelation of concealed truths that weren't openly addressed by the Church. The beginning of the book serves as a warning for both humans and the fallen angels, responsible for transforming Earth into a realm of immorality, violence, and sorcery. This prohibited text, of considerable size, encompasses writings spanning from approximately 300 BC to as recent as 100 BC. Within these chapters unfolds the account of Enoch, the 7th patriarch in the book of Genesis. As recounted by the Bible, Genesis chapter 5, verses 18 to 24, Enoch was the offspring of Jared and the forefather of Methuselah, thereby positioning him as Noah's great-grandfather. His existence predates the era of the Great Flood. The Bible attests that Enoch walked with God, indicating a profound connection between Enoch and the divine. Unlike other figures in the biblical narrative known for their extraordinary lifespans, Enoch is unique in that his years on earth amounted to a mere 365 years. In this book, Enoch is portrayed as a good person who gets special messages from the divine and gets to visit heavenly places. These celestial places show him how things were made, how stars and beings work, and where humans are headed in the end. Enoch is attributed in an early legend with imparting expertise in astronomy and cosmography, which encompassed the development of the solar calendar. The knowledge is contained in a work of astronomy commonly known as the Heavenly Luminaries. Within this specific segment, intricate descriptions of celestial motions and their correlation with the calendar are provided. This section unites ancient cosmology, astronomy, and spiritual reflection, emphasizing the cosmos's structured and harmonious arrangement as a representation of supreme wisdom. It also offers directions for the proper acknowledgement of sacred time periods. No other religious writings feature angels in a more significant or elaborately depicted manner than the Book of Enoch. The book outlines 2 distinct categories of angels: the archangels and the watchers. The archangels are characterized as devoted servants of God, entrusted with carrying out divine judgment and upholding the harmony of the cosmos. Within the segment referred to as the Book of the Watchers, the narrative unfolds about the fallen angels, also known as the Watchers, who defy divine authority. Descending to earth, they establish connections with mortal women, imparting forbidden knowledge. Under the leadership of Azazel and Shemihaza, these celestial beings rebel against God by descending to the human realm. The progeny resulting from their unions with mortal women are known as the Nephilim, colossal beings whose presence ushers in turmoil and devastation upon the earth. By examining the narrative of the Watchers and analogous tales concerning gods from ancient civilizations, we begin to link the dots that suggest a potential extraterrestrial source for humanity. In the ancient Near East, often referred to as the birthplace of human civilization, remarkable achievements unfolded among the Sumerians, Akkadians, Babylonians, and Assyrians. These cultures were trailblazers in developing written language, exploring the realms of astronomy, and establishing repositories of knowledge. Woven within their mythologies are stories of gods descending to earth, generously sharing the intricacies of their skills and profound wisdom. The remarkable skill displayed by ancient societies, such as the Sumerians, Egyptians, and Mayans, in aligning their monuments with celestial objects, raises questions. The origin of their meticulous comprehension of astronomy remains a topic of discussion. The creation of gigantic artifacts within these civilizations appears to challenge the technological capacities of their era due to factors such as size, weight, or complexity. If the buildings made by these civilizations aren't enough to show how advanced they were, a clay tablet translated in 2015 proves that ancient Sumerians did really accurate maths for the path of Jupiter. They did this 1,400 years before Europeans did the same. Also, the Babylonians, after the Sumerians, might have come up with trigonometry almost 1,000 years before the ancient Greeks. Sumerian texts recount the visitation of supernatural beings during antiquity. These beings were identified as the Anunnaki, a term signifying those who descended from the heavens. In 1976, a scholar named Zechariah Sitchin penned a book proposing that the Sumerians held a belief about the Anunnaki, who supposedly hailed from a distant planet called Nibiru. Sitchin asserted that Nibiru's elliptical orbit spanned 3,600 years and that it once drew near Earth. The Anunnaki, inhabitants of Nibiru, purportedly initiated contact with our planet some 500,000 years ago. However, their intentions extended beyond mere interaction. They had a keen interest in gold, a precious resource crucial for repairing their own planet's atmosphere. Since the Anunnaki couldn't mine gold on their own, they reportedly engaged in genetic engineering to create primitive humans, tasking them with mining the gold they sought. By the time the Sumerian civilization emerged, the Anunnaki had bestowed upon humanity skills like writing, mathematics, and urban planning. These contributions set the stage for the eventual evolution of life as we presently understand it. The earthly role of the Anunnaki mirrors the activities of the Watchers, as recounted in the Book of Enoch. This intriguing resemblance sparks a question. Could the Watchers and the Anunnaki actually be the same beings? The Sumerian civilization, which emerged approximately 4,500 BC in Mesopotamia, stands as one of the world's earliest advanced societies. Their profound understanding of fields like astronomy, mathematics, and architecture, coupled with the striking likeness between the Anunnaki and the Watchers, implies a possible link between these ancient texts and the potential involvement of extraterrestrial entities in shaping human history. Both the Watchers and the Anunnaki have something important in common. They come from the stars, hinting they might be from outer space. This connection goes beyond regular gods and stories, making us wonder if they could be from another planet or universe. Another fascinating point to compare is how the Anunnaki and the Watchers look. They're often shown as giant human-like figures, with characteristics that set them apart from regular humans. The Anunnaki were said to have glowing faces that shone brightly, while the Watchers were often depicted as ethereal beings emitting light. Both of them are shown with wings coming down from the sky. Moreover, both the Watchers and the Anunnaki are written about as engaging with humans, sometimes resulting in the birth of children with remarkable abilities. Some suggest that the link between the heavenly and earthly realms could be a clue to genetic changes, raising the idea that these beings could have had a role in shaping human evolution. The similarities between the Watchers and the Anunnaki are made stronger by similar themes and stories found in ancient Sumerian texts, like the Epic of Gilgamesh and different stories in the Bible. The common way of telling these stories in both Sumerian and biblical texts suggests a shared history and culture. Although there are differences in how the stories are told, the core idea remains the same. There were mysterious beings involved in human events. The tales of Enoch and the Anunnaki remind us that the rules of reality might be more complex than they seem, hinting at the possibility of dimensions beyond what we can see due to our limited human understanding. In the Book of Enoch, it's written how the Watchers shared knowledge with humans. This knowledge covered various fields like metallurgy, mining, sciences, medicine, reading, and even navigation using the stars. This might explain the significance of gold in Egyptian culture. It's intriguing to consider that the Book of Enoch might actually retell the story of the Anunnaki. In this context, the Egyptian pyramids could represent a clear example of divine gifts, either from gods or with help from the Watchers or Anunnaki, given to the people of ancient civilizations. The Book of Enoch delves into enigmatic phenomena like lightning and thunder, which some theorize were intended to unveil the secrets behind energy and electricity. This resonates with Nikola Tesla's words, "If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." This concept potentially aligns with the Anunnaki's conjectured endeavors to convey enigmas to humans through intricate crop circles harboring elaborate mathematical equations, magnetic circuits, and mechanical elements. In the Book of Enoch, he tells of a journey to heaven, and he described it as being taken away and riding in a fiery chariot pulled by fiery horses. Many modern theorists interpret Enoch's account of being taken to heaven by Archangel Haniel the Prince as a possible alien abduction. As he ascends, Enoch ventures higher into the skies, encountering the presence of Shekinah, who is God in physical form, within a place filled with fiery elements like baths, walls, swords, and wheels. Some speculate that Enoch might have been trying to describe lights, panels, and advanced technology. The Book of Enoch goes on to paint an image of heaven's vastness, an endless expanse filled with worlds, angels, and princes. The description of heaven's sheer enormity in the book is beyond comprehension. The text is intricate, unveiling the countless angels, layers of angelic hierarchy, various angelic classes, and the wisdom they receive. Among the portrayal of great princes, the book identifies 7 heavens and their ruling princes. The highest heaven is named Arabot. The 7th heaven's great prince is Michael, while Gabriel, known as the Prince of the Host, reigns over the 6th heaven, Macon. Additionally, the book outlines numerous thousands of princes governing over various heavens. Notably, 4 great princes, also called Watchers, surpass all other celestial beings combined. The book portrays God as the Holy One who consults with these 4 watchers before passing judgments in the great law court. From an alien theory perspective, these 7 heavens might easily be equated with planets. The great law court could symbolize a justice system within a confederation of planets. It is noteworthy that for generations, the Book of Enoch has held a significant role within Christian and Jewish religious traditions, with numerous religious sects recognizing the book as part of their scripture. Embracing the book as a sacred text, some even propose that the Book of Enoch served as a source of inspiration for the Book of Genesis, owing to their numerous resemblances and interconnected narratives. This leads us to ponder, why is the Book of Enoch absent from the Bible? The response lies within the disparities among the religious traditions that shaped the canon's development, along with the prevailing political and cultural milieu. Furthermore, there are doubts among scholars regarding its authenticity. While it's plausible that Enoch might have authored certain parts, the consensus among most experts is that various segments were altered and supplemented by other writers over time. In fact, there exists a theory suggesting that a section related to astronomy was crafted in the 2nd century AD by a Jewish Christian, who aimed to present his own ideas and conjectures while invoking the authority of Enoch. Nevertheless, the Book of Enoch retains its allure as an engrossing and contemplative composition that challenges our comprehension of human history and the influence of supernatural convictions on our worldview. It's quite remarkable that stories about the Watchers, Anunnaki, and the Nephilim giants have become less known. The Sumerians have been disregarded, and writings like the Gospel of Mary and Thomas have been left out of the official Bible. However, these stories profoundly alter how we view history by presenting new or overlooked perspectives on our beginnings. Can we simply dismiss Enoch's account as a myth, or could it actually hold clues about an ancient connection between humans and advanced extraterrestrial beings? The book remains unfinished, and once the last chapter is penned, we might come to realize that it unfolds not as a tale of angels, but rather as the narrative of our alien ancestors.
The Devil's Bible. Would you be willing to sell your soul to the devil to save yourself from a harsh punishment? This is exactly what Herman the Recluse did to free himself from being walled up for life, at least according to the prevalent account surrounding the creation of Codex Gigas. This manuscript stands as the largest medieval illuminated manuscript that still exists today. Its most striking feature is a full-page depiction of the devil, smiling and gazing directly at the reader, thereby getting the nickname the Devil's Bible. The origins of this manuscript spark a chilling question. Was it penned by human hands, or is there a more mysterious force behind its creation? To answer this question, we need to journey back to the 13th century kingdom of Bohemia. In the medieval era, authorities were renowned for devising imaginative and frequently harsh forms of punishment. Herman the Recluse was one of those unlucky souls to face a grim medieval punishment, his fate sealed to be entombed alive within a wall. Although the exact nature of his offense that led to severe penalty remains unclear. Standing before your monks, Herman was desperate to avoid this grim fate. He implored them for mercy, offering to commit his life to an extraordinary act of atonement. Moved by the monk's genuine appeal, the council conceded and granted Herman 1 night to prove his worth. In the solitude of his cell, equipped solely with his writing materials, Herman undertook a colossal task: to handwrite the full Bible in a single night, a seemingly insurmountable challenge that required a miraculous effort. During the medieval times, people had this belief that they could atone for their sins by copying holy texts. But time wasn't on the side of Herman to complete this Herculean task. As the hours dwindled and desperation set in, faced with the looming threat of his dire punishment, he shifted his prayers from God to Satan, calling upon darker forces for assistance. By dawn, the monks discovered Herman alongside a massive book, finished and resting on his desk. At its center was a striking illustration of the devil, a testament to the pact Herman made for its completion. This illustration presents the beast with fiery red horns and dual tongues, clad only in a loincloth made of ermine, a fur associated exclusively with nobility. This detail subtly alludes to the devil's role as the Prince of Darkness. Positioned in a desolate setting, confined by 2 towering structures, this menacing image has etched itself into legend, striking a mix of awe and fear in those who saw it. Although the captivating tale surrounding this manuscript may be more myth than fact, its significance remains undiminished. Calling it gigantic is no exaggeration. Weighing in at 165 pounds, this book stands at 35 inches tall, spans 20 inches in width, and boasts a thickness of 8.7 inches. This ancient volume is an extraordinary collection, encompassing the Old and New Testaments, along with historical, theological writings and a section on medicine. In addition to its major contents, the manuscript contains smaller entries, notably including discussions on exorcism, spells, and a calendar. The illustrations that adorn its pages are extraordinary as well, featuring biblical scenes alongside mythical beings, dragons, and demons. Given the book's mysterious aura, it's unsurprising that it's enveloped in a wealth of myths and legends, some ascribing supernatural abilities to it. Among these tales is the account of a thief who met his end by lightning while trying to steal the manuscript. Another account highlights the crucial role the Codex played in exorcisms during the Black Death, allegedly saving many lives through its mystical powers. The allure of the Codex is further increased by the absence of 10 of its pages. In 1697, a devastating fire swept through the royal castle in Stockholm, where the Codex was kept. To salvage the treasures of the royal library, books were hurled from the windows, including the Codex Gigas. It is believed that the turmoil of this event led to the loss of the 10 pages. To this day, the whereabouts of these elusive pages continue to be a mystery. Nevertheless, some alternative theories suggest that the missing section didn't just accidentally fall out, but was deliberately removed. Could the information contained on these pages have been so revolutionary and capable of significantly altering our long-standing beliefs that it warranted being concealed indefinitely? We might never know the answer to this question. Book of Enoch. In 1947, while searching for a lost goat near the Dead Sea's Qumran area, Muhammad Ed Haiben, a Bedouin shepherd, discovered a cave containing jars with ancient scrolls wrapped in linen. Initially, he and his friends sold these scrolls to a dealer in Bethlehem, not realizing their importance. Scholars eventually learned of the find, leading to further excavations that uncovered nearly 900 manuscripts, now known as the Dead Sea Scrolls. Among these texts, a captivating discovery was made, a long-lost religious manuscript that had faded from collective memory. This remarkable document, the Book of Enoch, offers a mesmerizing insight into the intricate connection between humanity and the supernatural realm. Enoch is a figure from the Hebrew Bible, primarily mentioned in the book of Genesis. While his appearance in the Bible is brief, subsequent texts, such as the Book of Enoch, delve deeper into his narrative. According to Genesis chapter 5, verses 18 to 24, Enoch was born to Jared and went on to father Methuselah, making him Noah's great-grandfather. His existence predates the era of the Great Flood. In the dawn of the first millennium, the Book of Enoch was mysteriously omitted from the sacred scriptures of Judaism and Christianity. There's speculation that this exclusion was driven by the book's unveiling of hidden truths, perhaps too profound or controversial for the church to acknowledge openly. The Book of Enoch stands unparalleled in its detailed and significant portrayal of angels, more so than any other religious text. The book outlines two distinct categories of angels, the archangels and the watchers. The archangels are characterized as devoted servants of God, entrusted with carrying out divine judgment and upholding the harmony of the cosmos. In the section known as the Book of the Watchers, there's a compelling account of the fallen angels, also called the Watchers, who rebel against divine command. These beings descend to earth, where they forge relationships with human women and share knowledge that was meant to remain hidden. Led by Azazel and Shemi-Hazah, these divine beings challenged God's authority by descending to earth. Their interactions with human women gave rise to the Nephilim, immense beings whose existence brings chaos and destruction to the world. One intriguing hypothesis surrounding the text is its implication of an extraterrestrial influence on human origins. Enoch narrates an ascent to the heavens, detailing his journey in a chariot ablaze, led by horses of fire. This narrative, particularly Enoch's celestial journey, facilitated by Archangel Haniel the Prince, has led some modern thinkers to speculate about a possible extraterrestrial encounter, likened to an alien abduction. During his ascent, Enoch climbs further into the heavens, coming into contact with Shekinah, regarded as the physical manifestation of God, within a place filled with fiery elements like walls, swords, and wheels. This has led to speculation that Enoch's descriptions could be an attempt to articulate encounters with luminous objects, control panels, and possibly advanced technologies. Other experts also connect the Watchers from the book to the Anunnakis of the Sumerian texts. These are beings who descended from a distant planet, Nibiru. These beings initiated contact with our planet some 500,000 years ago. However, their intentions extended beyond mere interaction. They harbored a particular fascination with gold, a vital commodity essential for mending the atmosphere of their home planet. Since the Anunnaki couldn't mine gold on their own, they reportedly engaged in genetic engineering to create primitive humans, tasking them with mining the gold they sought. With the rise of the Sumerian civilization, the Anunnaki had already imparted essential skills, such as writing, mathematics, and urban planning, to humanity. These foundational advancements paved the way for the development of life as we know it today. The functions of the Anunnaki on Earth closely align with the actions of the Watchers depicted in the Book of Enoch, leading to an intriguing parallel. This resemblance prompts a compelling question. Are the Watchers and the Anunnaki, in fact, the same entities? Lost Gospel. The idea of a romantic bond between Jesus and Mary Magdalene has long fascinated scholars and theologians. This intriguing hypothesis was the central theme in the controversial book The Da Vinci Code, where the Holy Grail is portrayed not as a physical object, but as a groundbreaking secret, the offspring of Jesus and Mary Magdalene. Interestingly, a manuscript dating back 1,500 years, housed in the British Library, could potentially offer the first tangible evidence supporting this theory, and it might even redefine conventional beliefs about Jesus Christ's life. Known as the Lost Gospel, this document daringly claims that Jesus fathered 2 children, and suggests that the true Virgin Mary was his spouse rather than his mother. Although the significance of this biblical figure has often been understated by mainstream scholars, this gospel portrays her as a much more pivotal character. Mary Magdalene is depicted as a key witness to numerous pivotal moments in Jesus' life. A considerable portion of Jesus' life story remains unknown, covering the period from his infancy at 8 days old up to his early 30s. However, there's a notable exception found in the Gospel of Luke, which details an incident when Jesus, at 12, accompanied his parents to Jerusalem for the Passover festival. Information about Jesus' formative years, such as his family life, education, and early relationships, is notably absent, leaving a gap in our understanding of his youth and young adulthood. Yet, the Lost Gospel sheds light on these aspects, depicting him as engaged, married, and a father, thereby providing a fuller account of his personal life. Linen Book of Zagreb. The Museum of Zagreb, in Croatia's acquisition of an Egyptian mummy in 1868, turned out to be more significant than anticipated. The mummy, that of an average woman without any royal or priestly ties, was enveloped in linen strips, inscribed with writing. The true intrigue lay in the material used to wrap her. Linen strips covered in mysterious writings. Astonishingly, the script was not the familiar Egyptian hieroglyphs, but an entirely unknown language at the time. For 2 decades, the script remained a mystery, until scholars finally cracked the code, revealing it as Etruscan, the language of a civilization that thrived in pre-Roman Italy. This revelation was astounding. While ancient texts often mentioned Etruscan linen books, none had ever been found. Even today, this language isn't fully understood, as very little of it has survived. The linen wrapping the mummy wasn't just the first intact Etruscan linen text ever discovered. It was also the most extensive Etruscan manuscript ever unearthed, making the find nothing short of revolutionary. As it turns out, the person who wrapped the mummy had employed pieces from an Etruscan linen book, torn into strips for this purpose centuries ago. Interestingly, the mummy was also wrapped in papyrus from the Egyptian Book of the Dead, hinting at a blend of cultural practices. By employing cutting-edge infrared photography, researchers were able to reveal the writings on the linen, uncovering a detailed ritual calendar. This calendar provided instructions for the annual observance of religious rites, indicating the appropriate times for honoring specific gods and the types of rituals to be conducted, such as offerings or sacrifices. The reference to January as the beginning of the ritual year strongly suggests that the text dates back to the period between 200 and 150 BC. Describing the discovery as monumental is no exaggeration. It offered a rare insight into a civilization on the verge of being eclipsed by the expansive forces of Roman conquest. Gospel of Judas. We're well acquainted with the traditional account of Judas Iscariot as the disciple who betrayed Jesus to the Sanhedrin in the Garden of Gethsemane. In exchange for 30 pieces of silver, he revealed Jesus' identity to the guards through a kiss. But what if there exists a different version of this story, one that challenges the narrative we've always known? Discovered in a desert cave near Elmina, Egypt, the 2nd century papyrus, known as the Gospel of Judas, provides a challenging alternative to this well-known story. It suggests that Jesus himself requested Judas to betray him, not as an act of treachery, but as a fulfillment of a divine scheme designed to achieve his ultimate purpose and ascension to heaven. In this narrative, Judas is depicted not as the infamous betrayer, but as Jesus' most trusted ally. In the key passage, Jesus tells him, "You will exceed all for them, for you will sacrifice the man that clothes me." He is entrusted with sacred knowledge that remains hidden from the other apostles, including profound insights into human origins, the realm of celestial beings, and the structure of the universe. Another shocking insight from the book is that Judas did not end his life by his own actions. Rather, it was the other disciples who were responsible for his demise. Shocked by his betrayal, they threw stones at him, casting Judas in the unforeseen role as the first Christian martyr. These writings directly conflict from the accounts in the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, leading to their rejection by conventional Christian leadership and exclusion from the biblical texts. It is believed by scholars that followers of these writings concealed copies to ensure their preservation. The Gospel has been labeled as either a forgery or sacrilegious. However, if substantiated, wouldn't it be unjust for millions of Catholic believers to condemn Judas as the most nefarious traitor in history? The Gospel of Judas primarily showcases the wide spectrum of ideas and beliefs that shaped the early Christian community. Alongside other Gnostic scriptures, it highlights the presence of alternative viewpoints, illustrating that the early stages of Christianity were marked by diversity rather than uniformity. In the end, these revelations of these ancient manuscripts highlight the profound mysteries that still lie hidden in our world, reminding us that the full story of human history remains to be discovered. But what are your thoughts about this? We hope you like our story, and we'll catch you in the next one.